The Eternals Series Radio presents The Nephelium by author Nathan Parks. Copyright 2013, read by author Nathan Parks. Chapter 3. The music's beat reached out from the shadows and had the power to grab the listener. Somewhere from deep within the structure of the bass, a melody entranced and threw its talons into the heart of it all, and pulled each soul into a captivating ebbing tide of bodies and minds. The Vortex was not just a club that reached out across cultures and drew in those who longed to just escape, but it seemed to have an identity all its own. It was as if it was a spiritual entity in and of itself that poured out of its Gothic design, crushed velvet curtains, and occult symbolisms the power to pull patrons onto the dance floor. Surrounding the elevated stage, the dancing patrons were looked down upon by pale-skinned beauties writhing within cages suspended from pulley systems cleverly hidden among the decor. This was the epitome of darkness. This was a gateway. A gateway was a supernatural marker that allowed free access between the world of mortals and the realm of the immortals. Some were temporary, and then there were permanent ones. Homes and covens, like the Vortex, were usually guarded by a clan, or at least a strong clan presence. Sedit and Drake pulled back their sleeves, revealing the symbols tattooed on the back of their hands, and waltzed right past the bouncers at the front. Sedit snickered and bared his fangs as a drunken couple got upset at the bouncer for allowing Sedit and Drake to breeze by when they were not allowed in yet. The house band, In My Darkest Hour, was playing something that was being measured in the waves of the bodies packed upon the dance floor, moving in a twisting disharmony. Sedit remembered when he used to come here to escape, but that was before he was brought into the family, and saw what this place really was about. It was almost like one of those funny 3D pictures one might look at. At first, just a lot of geometrical designs and colors could be seen, but the harder one stares, the more a shape or picture begins to materialize. This club was truly a happening place, and every night there were lines of people waiting to come in. The VIP list was almost a book, but if one was searching just the right way, looking at just the right angle, then a completely new picture took shape. A formidable and strong man approached the duo from their left. He was dressed sharply with a short-sleeved shirt that revealed large biceps and a branding of a snake with its mouth open under a blazing sun. None of this stood out as much as his eyes, for they were as white as his skin was black. It seemed that even in the black light of the club they glowed. Many thought he wore cosmetic contacts, but to those within the family, they were the eyes of a possessor, a fallen, who had fully embodied his avatar, linking himself with the human soul. There were only two clans of the family from which a possessor could come, Hecate and Adremelech. The Vortex was a gateway and a safe house for the clan Adremelech, the largest clan within the family. "You two are late. Ariok is waiting for you." "Yeah, what's new?" Sedit huffed under his breath. His eyes stung from the fog machines, and his nostrils were picking up the blend of body odor, cheap perfume, and alcohol. He was feeling aggravated and could go for a vodka on the rocks right now. "I'd keep your comments to yourself, wannabe," the big guy said with a southern drawl. "Ariok's not in a good temper right now." The possessor led them to two large doors covered in ironwork, the VIP area in Ariok's playground. The doors flung open and the trio entered into a quieter domain, but nonetheless just as crowded. Ariok surrounded himself with familiars, fallens, and those who had no clue. He thoroughly enjoyed his status as one of the top commanders of the Adremelech clan. The crowd parted before the three as if they knew not to interfere. Sedit knew this couldn't be good, but he also couldn't understand why his master would be upset. He had not given specific orders, and they had scouted out the woman. So why were there strange glances from all those around? Ariok was usually too over the top. It was as if every branch of the clan was present. What was this? He spotted assassins, possessors, warriors, soul slayers, and the creatures that many called werewolves, but were actually demonic dogs. He had only heard of these creatures, but he had hoped he would never see any. They could become ravaging mad at the drop of a hat, and were to be feared because they were able to not only inflict pain upon the physical body, but possessed the ability to tear right into the soul of a man. Well, well, well. Our two scouts return. It was Ariok in all his embodied glory. His mortal body was a sharp GQ 30-something African-American man who had a taste for expensive suits, drinks, and cars. The typical playboy, through and through. Ariok, we hurried back as soon as we completed. Sedit was cut off as Ariok lifted up his mojito. Ah, yes, completed. What exactly is it that you completed there, Sedit? Ariok made a waving motion with his hand, and as he did, the seats around the table cleared of their occupancy. Drake and Sedit knew this wasn't good. Drake took a chance and spoke up. We followed the girl. She really didn't look like anything special, but we did have a run-in with another familiar fighting for territory. Sedit raised his voice loudly over Drake and shot him a look, wondering if he was just forgetful of to whom he was talking to or just plain stupid. Ariok sat running his finger along the rim of his glass and staring hard at it. Even though the party was still going on around them, it seemed that the world was standing still, and Ariok's eyes began to glow a deep red, the beast within spreading his mortal mouth with an evil grin that allowed his fangs to be visible. Oh, and from what clan would the familiar be that you met, Sedit? Clan? Yes. What clan? Because I would like to know whom I should rebuke for sending scouts into my territory without letting me know. Well, you know, I didn't get the chance to find out. Drake was looking back and forth from the familiar to the master, wondering what was going on. He took himself as a smart person, and he didn't remember another familiar. Sedit? I don't remember another familiar. We only ran into that guardian. Sedit's face went white and then turned quickly to angry red. You really are a fool, aren't you, Drake? A fool! Drake wasn't prepared to guard himself as Sedit's fist came from somewhere to his left and made full contact with his jaw. Drake didn't have time to even register the impact before everything went black as he fell forward onto the table. His head slamming against the glass of the tabletop created an impact that knocked over the drinks on the table, including the demon's mojito. Sedit looked up, his anger replaced with fear as his eyes became locked with Ariok's. There was no party now in the room, but every eye, mortal and immortal, was turned upon master and servant. Ariok slowly stood, bending his neck to one side and then the other, cracking it as he flexed his shoulders. As he stood, there was a noticeable wet spot upon his tailored suit from the spilled alcohol. Ariok, I'm sorry. I didn't feel it important to let you know. The smell was what hit Sedit first. Sulfur. There was no doubt about that. It filled his lungs, stinging them as the acidic air rushed down his throat. It brought tears to his eyes, but this was nothing compared to what he saw before him. Out from the back of the stylish playboy before him broke forth black, leathery wings, pushing back any near bystanders. His hands turned into gnarled talons and fangs grew longer as eyes flashed red and then inky black. You felt? You didn't think? You, human, are not in position to feel, to think, or even to decide. I, measly one, am the one with such power and position. You are only a wannabe. And that is all you will ever be. A familiar. A nothing. There was nothing that really looked much like the playboy now, standing within the room. The demonic dogs were sitting now upon their haunches, jaws snapping and drooling as they snarled. Sedit was upon his knees, trembling and then soiling himself. The feelings of fear and worthlessness that he felt every time his perverted uncle had violated him was rushing back like a nightmare coming true. Had he not given his soul over to this demon, to this clan, in order to gain the power to escape such demeaning actions? Ariok, please forgive me, he sobbed. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. That was it. There was nothing more left. He had heard of Ariok's outburst, but he had never seen them, and had always been treated as one of the family, doing anything and everything he was asked to do. Was this it? His mind rushed back to the little boy whose innocence had been stolen so young. All he wanted was to belong, to fit in, and to stand against the tide that would take him down. And here he was, once again, that little boy, and tears streamed down his face. He held out his arms, closed his eyes, and looked skyward. He did the only thing he could think now to do, even though it may have seemed out of place, and maybe too late. Into your hands I will give my life, if you will have me. There was a rush from the sides as the demon bared his fangs and fell upon the mortal. The dogs of hell did not wish to wait for seconds, and those of the clan did not have to wait long before they felt the call of the Overlord within their minds to feast. It was as if every nightmare that ever lived within a secret rushed in upon Sedit's soul at once, and he felt his mind rushing in on itself. His ears burst from a scream that spewed from him. Mortal ears could never withstand its own soul scream. Then it was over. All dreams of becoming powerful and belonging to a family that truly cared were all gone within a flash of demonic feasting. This has been a reading of Chapter 3 of the Nephelium, copyright 2013, by author Nathan Parks.